Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas survives an impeachment vote. The stunning turn of events played out in House chambers as the GOP-led effort failed to drum up enough support.
The vote comes amid ongoing debate over securing the southern border. And joining us now from Washington, D.C. is senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott. Rachel, thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, good to see you.
Okay, so let's talk about this. This impeachment push flopped due to a handful of Republicans. Why did GOP leaders think they had the votes for this? Was this stunning, as we said?
Well, I got to tell you guys, there's a saying here on Capitol Hill that you don't go to the floor unless you have the votes. So this was nothing short than an embarrassing setback for House Republicans. House Republican leadership thought that they had the votes walking into this vote to try to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas. They knew it was going to be a close call. They could only afford to lose 3 Republicans. We were watching this vote unfold on the House floor. They lost 3 Republicans. They could not afford to lose any more. And then all of a sudden, Democratic Representative Al Green of Texas walks in. He had just actually had abdominal surgery. He came in wearing his scrubs. He was in a wheelchair. He cast that vote against this impeachment effort, defeating the Republican push. It was such a nail biter, though. But like I said, this is not what House Republican leadership was expecting walking into that chamber.
So if this was all rooted in policy disagreements and not corruption, not a crime, what did GOP leaders expect to happen?
Yeah, and this was the push that they were making. They were saying that he had committed an impeachable offense over his handling of the border, but you had those handful of Republican lawmakers who came forward and said, look, this is over a policy dispute. This does not amount to high crimes and misdemeanors, and that's why ultimately you had a handful of Republicans that just rejected the party's message on this, saying that it sets a very bad precedent. So now you have the House Speaker, Mike Johnson. He is vowing to try this all over again, but once again, it all comes down to the math. He has a razor-thin majority here in the House, and it's unclear if he has the votes to actually make this successful.
Now, this impeachment vote comes amid a very contentious debate over a new Senate bipartisan border bill. We know this is a very important topic to voters. Yeah. Republicans wanted this, so what is the holdup now?
An important topic and also compromise on such a critical issue like this is rare here on Capitol Hill. So you had this landmark bipartisan deal that provided $20 billion in border security. It would shut down the border when migrant apprehensions reached 5,000 a day. Those are all things that Republicans wanted. And then in exchange, Democrats got additional aid for both Israel and Ukraine. So Republicans were part of this deal. They helped negotiate it. Democrats did as well. And then all of a sudden, Republicans are backing away from it now, calling it dead on arrival here in the House. They don't have the votes in the Senate. And so now, after 4 months of negotiations on this critical issue that both parties acknowledge they want to get something done on, it's going absolutely nowhere.
And President Biden is saying the former President Donald Trump is standing in the way of getting Republicans to support this bill. Just how much influence does Trump have still in Washington?
Trump has a massive grip on the Republican Party, and I could tell you that Republican lawmakers here on Capitol Hill are listening closely to what he is saying, because we reversed just months ago, right? You had Republicans saying, listen, if you want additional aid for Ukraine and Israel, you got to give us something on the border. Well, then Democrats agreed to that. Then Trump comes in. He says he doesn't like this deal at all. He wants to run on immigration in 2024. You had some Republicans here saying the quiet part out loud, that they didn't want to hand President Biden a win and an election year. And so then the aftermath of all of this, that deal fell completely apart, guys.
Never a boring moment. ABC senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott, thank you so much.
Good to see you.
For joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.